What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Crimson Lounge, back at it again with another Primordial recap. Say hi.
Hey.
Yep, it is me and Creepah once again for another recap, and today we're going to be talking about Aria Woods.
Aria Woods. So much of this island, I just wanted to hang myself.
It was a very stressful time here in Aria Woods.
Honestly, that's a little bit of an understatement. It's just so stressful.
It didn't get... Here's the thing, it didn't get stressful until like 3/4 of the way through the island.
Yeah, but it's always like those particular points in time when it's like when their stress really kicks up, and because it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I know how you feel. I know what you mean. Because honestly, I didn't really have a big story arc plan for Aria Woods. Honestly, it was just going to be essentially you would be here to have downtime, you would go on some hunts, make some cash, probably meet up with Kalis and continue on from there, and then I thought, wouldn't it be fun if we did this with this plot line and make it a thing? And so I was like, fuck it, why not?
Fuck it, we ball.
Fuck it, we ball.
Yeah, this island was just like a lot of the stuff that just happened here was like just straight out of left field, and oh boy.
Yeah, that's true. So, I guess the best place for us to start off is at the beginning, where you guys arrived to Aria Woods after you were done with Windy Hill and the whole giant fiasco that was there.
Yep.
And honestly, it was pretty much a slow start, somewhat. Because honestly, the only things that you guys did there was you took on some jobs, for starters. I think some of the people did some like sightseeing and stuff like that. I know Sips took a job from a florist because there was like a. I should probably start with saying that the city that you started off at in Aria Woods was the city of base, and if you didn't get the theme of it when you first watched through it, or this is your first time going over it, this entire island is basically music based off of all the cities and towns that are named after musical notes, and I don't know what those things, like bass and treble, I don't know what those are called per se.
It's usually to refer to, like, it's kind of like an octave kind of thing.
Yeah.
In music.
Yeah, basically I basically looked up music notes, and I placed them in towns, and I placed the octaves, bass and treble as the major cities. And yeah, that was basically the whole gimmick of the island, is music and fae, essentially. And so Sips went to a garden that contains all the plants of Primaria. Well, not all the plants. There are some that haven't been collected because it's on the other side of the world where flowers from the Grand Sealy have not been collected, and Sips decided to take on that job by collecting flowers from the Grand Sealy to be teleported back to this garden, and she would get paid for that.
Ooh, that's gonna be a hell of a job.
It's not.
But honestly, well, I mean, obviously the biggest thing is just getting to the Grand Sealy to do it. But
honestly, we're pretty close to getting to the Grand Sealy. It's just a matter of when, not so much if, at this point.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, like, this is one of those side quests where, like, the major hurdle is always just getting there so you can do it. It's like, you know how in games, you have that particular side quest that isn't really hard. It's locked off at a specific section of the map that you can't access until you're like 3/4 of the way through the game.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's kind of what this mission is, and I don't really see that as a bad thing, because honestly, this gives us something to remember to do while we're over there, but also it's actually very in character for Sips to be doing this. As a Slimefolk that is really, really deep into herbology.
I was born 3 days ago.
Hey, sometimes you're just born for it.
I want to look at the pretty flowers.
I mean, better than staring at the wall.
Yeah, that's fair. So Sips went to take on the job to collect flowers from the Grand Seelie, and they would be teleported back to the garden. Can't remember the name of the garden that she got. It was like a specific name that was named after this one guy who collected as many flowers as he could from both the Phoenix Kingdom and Leviathan Empire. So Sips took on that job, but you guys decided to go on some hunts, and one of the hunts being against a creature called the Garmwolf.
The Garmwolf. Oh, that was definitely a fight.
It was one of the hairiest. I didn't mean it as a pun, but it was pretty hairy when it came to that fight.
Yeah, that fight was, ooh. I mean, that was definitely, because, like, that fight definitely took us for a loop. And especially considering, like, because wasn't the whole idea the Garmwolf is, like, it's like a Hydra, but, like, as a wolf?
I wouldn't say it's a Hydra, because a Hydra, if you cut off the head, let me re-look at the beast real fast, because it has been a long while.
Very hot minute.
Had the Garm Wolf,
because it's like either it was more no, because it wasn't more akin to a Hydra. It's just more akin to just the basic idea of like Cerberus.
Yeah, it was essentially Cerberus. It has multi-heads. Yeah, the Garm Wolf had 3 heads. While it has more than 1 head, the Garm Wolf has disadvantage on saving throws against blind, charmed, deafened, frightened, stunned, and being knocked unconscious. Each of the heads do a particular thing. One of them being the Tripartid Howl, which basically does poison, thunder, and fear, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you guys probably would have had a better job if you brought along with you the right people. The people that you brought with you on that particular expedition, and I will say, though, I don't think Zilyana was a part of that hunt, because On wasn't there during that session. So
Which is very likely.
Yeah, it was essentially you, Brutus, and Sips, along with Harley and I think Harvey as well. Both the H's were with you on that one.
It might have been, but I think the major issue we were struggling with this around that point in time might have been the problem of we're trying to rotate everybody out so that everybody gets equal amount of action, and because we didn't have the medallion yet, we kind of had to take them.
Yeah, that's fair. But
so I think that was the major problem.
Yeah, but it helped me realize some of the things that I was doing wrong with some of the NPCs. Like Harvey, I designed to be, I didn't design him to be a healer. I designed him to be like a fire user slash fear caster. Basically tries to frighten the opponents, but there wasn't really a good point in that fight to do that. So I respect him to where he would be more usable in that manner, so that way he's more usable whenever you bring him out. As for Harvey, man, I don't know. Alchemist isn't really that good, per se. Like, their whole gimmick is that they create bombs and potions and stuff like that. And, I mean, besides throwing bombs at enemies, they really don't do much. You know?
Yeah. This is something I've really kind of noticed, especially since playing Pathfinder, because I just recently got into that, and I took a look at the Alchemist class that they have currently for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and it really does seem like that, whoever made the class, Mage Hand Press, I believe?
Yeah, Mage Hand Press.
It really seems like they were trying to incorporate the Alchemist class and like remodel it from Pathfinder to 5th edition, which like I don't think it was always going to work out the way they wanted to, just because there's a little bit more nuances and complications into how the Pathfinder system works compared to 5th edition. Like, it's one of those things to where in Pathfinder, you can make a lot of the bombs and stuff work, especially like if you're wanting to like spec into healing and such. But the problem is that the Pathfinder system was kind of built, or feels like it was meant to accommodate a lot of that kind of stuff, whereas D&D just wasn't.
Yeah, I agree with you on that part. The way I see the Alchemist and the Craftsman in that manner, I don't think those are more classes, more like jobs, per se. Like, Artificer works because it has both utility and offensive capabilities, and the capability of making things to sell off stuff. Like, they did it in a way where it makes sense, where the Craftsman and the Alchemist seem more like they were meant to create and sell things, or make making items for the party and stuff like that, more so than being used out on the field for themselves, you know?
Yeah, and that's something I can definitely agree with. Especially going back to just, like, how Pathfinder seems to more have incorporated that aspect into working better with its combat system and a bunch of other stuff, whereas D&D very strictly kind of keeps them separate.
Yeah. It's like, here's, like, being able to craft different kinds of bombs along with different types of potions, it's a good thing, but it's definitely more utility than having that much capable offensive capabilities. Like, at most, you're throwing a bomb that does depending on what level you do, a D10, and that's about it, per se. Sure, it's a good area of effect thing, or if you want to do a single target, you could get rid of the explosive powder inside of it to make it a single target thing, but it's just the fact that it's one attack. And it's also the fact that, Artificers get spellcasting, while the Craftsman and the Alchemist don't. So, yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do for Harvey. I'm gonna just copy and paste the Artificer spell thing over to the Alchemist, so that way they're a lot more usable that way.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where we just kind of have to work with it the best we can. But anyways, back to our recap of the Garmville fight.
Yes, it was definitely a close call. Made me realize that both Harvey and Harley were not spec'd correctly, per se. But after that, I did manage to respec at least Harley to make it to where he's more usable. That way, now he's a bit of a spellcaster. Also, I changed up his subclass to the College of Games Bard, which honestly, so much better than what he was originally. A lot more usable that way, and a lot more fun. But that was pretty much the Garden Wolf fight. It was, big meaty monster with big sharp fangs against a group of adventurers wanting to skin its ass.
Pretty much.
But after which, you guys did some rumor investigations, stuff like that, because before you came to this island back in Silvervein, you got a tip from Governor Kane that one of his old colleagues is in Aria Woods.
Yeah. Because around that point in time, we knew where we were, and then we started hearing rumors, and then we also were just going around looking for him. Bishop was his name.
Which eventually you'll find out that he used to be a part of Kane's crew back in the day, and something happened, they split up, and now he's a part of your crew. Which you guys did a mechanic, which I think only appeared once, and that was which was
for that whole endeavor.
Yeah, it was for that little endeavor, which is from a PDF that I have. Here's to Crime, a guide to capers and heists. And essentially, it basically comes up with a scenario. It basically helps with making a scenario where it's like an Ocean 11's kind of deal, where it's like, oh, we need to get past the security thing. It's like, oh, well, Jimmy over here is in with the guards, and talked him up a little bit, and he said he would get us in. Oh no, then we have to deal with the security over here. It's like, oh, it's a good thing that Deborah created this jamming device kind of deal that will turn off the security. That sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
I do want to get your opinion on how you thought of it.
Well, here's the thing. I like the implementation of the mechanic, and I like its concept. The major issue that I think we had with it is, A, we're not used to it. Because this was literally the only time we used it, and it was our first time, and we were really kind of bending the rules for it in ways we really shouldn't have been allowed to.
Yeah. It was mostly because I misunderstood some of the things on there, and you guys were doing certain things that were like, well, that should make
Makes
sense.
No sense.
Well, no, it made sense. It's like, why wouldn't you go to Bob's Magic Surplus to buy all these scrolls? But in the way that it's supposed to go, you're not supposed to do that. You're only supposed to have, like, one item or something like that you bring with you for this kind of thing. Because it's supposed to be treated like an Ocean 11 kind of deal, where you're supposed to roll, see if you have the right thing for the right job, and continue onwards from there.
And this kind of comes into the other problem of, we kind of also just did this heist last minute. Like, we didn't go through the whole typical Ocean's 11 of spending about a week or a month planning the heist. Which, on the one hand, you could say it isn't a big deal, but I put it like this. Sure, out of character, we can spend, like, about an hour planning the whole thing, but in my opinion, it probably would have benefited for us to set up for it by giving us a few days in-game to actually roll and make prep for. Because We pretty much heard about it and then did it same day.
Well,
essentially.
Yeah, that's fair, but honestly, it's supposed to be streamlined that way in a certain way. So, let me go ahead and go over how it works per se for the audience.
Yeah.
So, this is divided up into several phases. Divided up into 3 phases. First phase is determining what the plan is, like what is the caper, and it goes from hit job to a con job to a heist to work the mark, and basically you're out to kill somebody, or trying to swindle somebody, or trying to steal something, or trying to get in favor with somebody, that kind of deal. And then you basically go for preparation after you figure out what kind of job you're doing, which was a heist. You're stealing somebody from the boat. The military boat, because Bishop was under arrest for being a anarchist terrorist, and he was held in custody, which you guys were planning on breaking him out from said custody. So, basically, now that you have the plan for the caper, you are still keeping this fairly broad, because during the caper itself, you want to give the players opportunities to surprise themselves and each other. What you're asked for is less about the maintenance of what they plan to do during the heist, and more about what the characters are doing to prepare. The goal is to guide each player into roleplay or narrative, or narrating a short scene, then have them each attempt one skill roll.
Yeah, that definitely was tricky.
Yeah, and that was step 1. Step 2 was essentially like the caper itself, where players pick a face. The face is considered the leader, which at this point I don't think we picked a leader. I think it was just whoever rolls or something like that. We weren't really following the rules 100% on this one. Yeah, you start the caper, to determine how well the first part of the caper went. The face is going to make an approach roll, and the approach roll is depending on the caper. If it's hit job, it's strength. If it's a con job, it's wisdom. If it's a heist, it's dexterity. And if it's a work the mark, it's a charisma. And depending on the security of the place, the DC is high, which I think I made it a DC 15, which is the equivalent of a secure bank or a well-guarded noble home.
Which was apt, considering, this was a ship carrying a well-desired prisoner.
Yeah. Security rank 3 was a DC 20, and that was the equivalent of Xanathar's lair.
Well, then.
And rank 4 is a DC 25, which is the equivalent of Orcus's Tower or the Contract Room of Hell.
Yeah.
I find that hilarious that, that's how that goes.
Yeah, it just immediately jumps up massively. It's like, hey, we're robbing a bank. Oh, really? We robbed fucking Xanathar. But you're only one rank higher than us. I know.
Yeah. But after the face has made the approach roll, you start the caper. You are starting right when the action does. We want the caper to be fast, exciting pace, so jump right into the first point of conflict kind of deal. Which, honestly, we did not do.
No, we did not.
Yeah. It started off with you guys rowing up to the ship, and you made a roll to distract the guard by throwing a rock into the water, and you distracted them that way as you guys snuck on board and continued to go further into the ship. After a few more rolls, you managed to get down to the barracks, or the
brig.
Yeah, made it down to the brig, where you found Bishop sleeping on a bench just minding his own business, waiting for whatever is to come. You wake him up, and it would have been the end of the caper, but his gear is in the captain's quarters.
Yeah.
So Sips had made a roll, which rolled successfully, to grab his stuff and book it, which ultimately ended with you getting Bishop to join your crew, because you saved him from being incarcerated, so he's joining you.
Yeah. Which honestly was really, which honestly, he's so far proven a very valuable member of the team. The problem was just more, we have to disguise him.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a story for later, but yeah. It's also funny because the one thing I actually do remember the most about that caper is that we almost got caught at the end because we took Iris with us and she failed the roll and almost like screamed because her wing got caught.
Yeah. Oh, that was good. Yeah, but there's some other things that we didn't quite use, such as like the flashback mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when conflicted with a skill check that the players is nervous about, a point of inspiration can be spent to flashback to a day before, and the players may then narrate how their character prepped for this eventuality, which was kind of the thing that we ignored and why we didn't do it right, because you guys basically rubbed it off and say, oh, well, we bought magical scrolls from Bob's Magic Surplus.
Yeah, this is one of those mechanics that I think was just very poorly understood. And that's kind of why it really flopped. Is like a lot of it was because we just didn't understand how the damn thing worked.
But next time we'll do this beforehand, we'll go over the rules beforehand before we start the caper, so that way everybody has an understanding of what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, we'll have to do that, just so we can make sure that we're all on the same page.
It's honestly a good idea if you don't want to run them breaking into a building and then having them roll so many fucking checks, sneak around, eventually get caught, and then, that whole shenanigan. This is more streamlined and well-packed to where if the players don't want to, maneuver inside of a house to get to the place that they wanted to go and steal the thing that they wanted to steal, this is a good book for if you want to streamline.
Yeah, it's a good way to streamline it if you don't want to have a whole session that is essentially Persona 5.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, if that's something you want to do and just have a whole session dedicated to it, like a level out of Persona 5, I mean, go for it. I mean, I'm not gonna stop you. Chances are you probably do it better than I would.
Don't sell yourself short yet.
No one's better at selling me short than me.
Fair enough. But in the end, you did get Bishop out of the holding cell, and nobody in the militia knows that it was you guys.
They just know he was there, and just as suddenly he was gone.
Like an angel's kiss, he was gone.
And just like that, it's gone, like an angel's kiss.
But so after you guys did the heist, you traveled up north to the other side of the island, heading over to the city of Treble, which is home to probably the richest douchebags in all of the island, along with being the home to the Bard's College.
Yep.
I remember perfectly well, like, all the people there were like, I say, did you hear that? Oh, yes.
Oh yeah, snobby rich people.
Yeah.
It was honestly really great because it's like we hadn't had a whole city dedicated to it, and I feel like this was the perfect way to do it.
I mean, yeah, they're fucking bards, man. Uptight, snooty ass bards.
Honestly, I still think that the funniest thing wasn't even really the whole just exploring the city. It was really just the shenanigans of Brutus and Harley.
Oh yeah,
because those two ran around the whole city looking for instruments and stuff like that. Oh, it was so funny. It was so funny to watch, but it was also kind of adorable.
Oh yeah, wasn't there that one moment where Brutus was making fun of an instrument, and everybody was like looking at him like, "How dare you?"
What's that moment?
And fucking Harley had to explain like, insulting an instrument would be like insulting a heist or insulting a hunt. You basically wounded the pride of a bard by insulting an instrument.
Oh my god, it was legitimately funny. Like, kudos to Boss. He really knows how to do some of the goofiest shit sometimes.
Yeah. But
like, honestly, it was great. I'm so glad that like there's just like this budding bromance that the two have.
Yeah. Yeah, it started off with him wanting to teach Harvey how to play a banjo, which I think, yeah, this was the same city where Brutus got his instrumental sword, the harmonic blade.
Oh yeah, this was he did get it here. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so the harmonic blade is essentially a sword that basically produces a sound when you swing it. You can turn it off or on if you want to. It just depends on the user if you want to keep it on or keep it off. And it does, like, you can basically decide which instrument it plays whenever you swing with the sword. Which obviously Brutus went with the banjo. Because of course. And it was basically meant for bards to be used as like a bardic focus, you know, just in case if there's like valor bards or sword bards that don't want to use their instrument to give out inspiration or use their instrument to use the magic, they can use the sword that channels the bardic magic through it so that we can cast. It's basically a spell focus for bards.
Yeah, it's basically just it's alternate spellcast focus with a unique twist in term if they want to still maintain a level of musician in them.
Correct.
Which honestly is just fine. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like I'm so glad that this is the thing that came from essentially a shopping district tour of a gator and an elf.
Yeah.
They're totally gonna be banging later.
Well, unfortunately, Harvey does not have that luxury.
Yet.
Yet. But you guys traveled around. You explored bits and pieces of the college of the city of Treble. You found a couple of places. One of them being the Golden Lyric, an opera theater used for bards of the college to perform there to see if they graduate from the college and possibly get hired by nobles if they show up there to watch the performance and like, I want that bard.
Oh yeah, I remember. It was basically like a graduation performance, but also like a pseudo job fair all in one.
Yeah, basically. Uh, yeah, it was essentially if you feel like you've done enough and you meet the criteria, you are then eligible to go perform at the Golden Lyric. And depending on the professor and what your profession is as a bard, you need a certain number of applause before from the professor in order to graduate. And it could be ranged from basically 0 to 200 applause, which honestly, it probably a rough estimate. Like they'll be like, you just need to get over half the people here in order to applaud, and then you would graduate.
Yeah, it was a small piece of lore, but it was also a really great piece of lore.
Which led to basically a conversation between Sips and Harley about discussing of the story of the dog and the wolf.
The dog and the wolf.
Based off that expression, I have a feeling that you forgot what the story was about.
More than yeah, because this really does not ring a bell.
So, the story of the dog and the wolf. Essentially, there was a dog who lived its life in luxury. It was pampered every day, given the greatest of food, the greatest of entertainment, basically treated like a king. Then there was the wolf, who was starving, cold, alone, and has to fight for its food every day. The wolf saw the dog in its luxurious life and asked, "Hey, how can I get a lifestyle like yours?" And the dog replies with, "Oh, it's easy. All you have to do is put this collar around your neck." And the wolf refused because he would rather be free than be in a cage.
Yeah, that's yeah, it's coming back to me now.
Which I think Sips misunderstood the story, because it just led to her being sad, like, well, some people don't get the choice to be a dog. It's like, that's not the story. The story is, do you want the lifestyle of a king, but be in a cage? Or do you want to be free, have freedom, but have to fight to survive?
Mm-hmm.
That was the main focus of the story, but I feel like she misunderstood that.
I mean, to be fair, it is oddly in character for Sips to completely take the meaning out of it and just completely twist it because ooh, captivity, don't like.
Yeah. I actually got that story from Unexpectables.
Really?
Yeah, it was like during their first campaign, they were talking to one of the people that runs the city, and one of them brought up the story of the dog and the wolf, and I'm like, that's telling. Because basically the city of that's in Unexpectables is run by Aasimars, and if you're an Aasimar, essentially you have a good chance of being a part of the council. But if you're a part of the council, you get most of your rights taken away from you, like the right to marry who you want to marry or go wherever you want to go. You're basically stuck doing paperwork, but you get a lavish life. It's too bad that you're the dog in a cage.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's see what else. Oh yeah, you also went to the tavern called the Harp and the Hound. It was the quote-unquote cheapest tavern.
Yeah, which I feel like was the smart move, considering Snobby Town, chances are the rest were going to be way more high-end.
Yeah, I think I said like the modest equivalent in any other city was aristocratic, where the cheapest one was modest.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
From
Yeah, it was. Wasn't it me and Iris there to get some leads and stuff?
it was a variety of people that were there. Yeah, you guys did dig up a lot of rumors. One of them being a whale hunt off in the northwestern part, away from the island. There was also the talk of witches, and also the Kira Ordell.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
And there was also a treasure hunt. That was also a rumor amongst the things as well. Basically, small things that basically became bigger as you guys explored the rest of the island. On top of that, like there was a moment where Brutus and Sips went off to go explore the city, and they came across the fountain of the founders of Trouble. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I believe the guy's name is Lysanther, the Air Genasi, and Aurelia, the Fey woman, and they basically created the city and the Bard's College.
Sounds about right.
Which there, Brutus made a wish and was given a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is right. And speaking of Brutus,
Oh,
Hello.
I'm glad. The fuck? I was not expecting you. Holy shit.
Mother's Day. It's been a Mother's Day.
Well, you caught us in the middle of where you caught us halfway through the escapades that happened in Aria Woods, so honestly, you came in at a pretty good time.
Huh. That's good.
So while you're here, I do want to get your
Mhm.
thoughts and opinions on the things that happened beforehand, before we continue on with the rest of Aria Woods. Starting
Okay.
with arriving to Aria Woods, you guys fought the Garm Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very hairy fight when you guys fought it.
It didn't start out hairy. It started out pretty decently. And then the next head came out, and then we got fucked up. Our rolls starting to really look bad, and you were rolling hot.
I'm always rolling hot. Like, I am cursed.
Yes, you are.
I am cursed to
And
kill
how
you
about you go to a
fuckers.
casino and get rid of that curse?
And then, as soon as I enter that building, I'm gonna. That's when all the luck goes away.
Exactly.
Every ounce of it. Hell no,
Fun
I
fact,
want to
dude.
keep this, thank you very much.
Fun fact, do you know that casinos have a secret security measure that saps all your luck?
it's called one. It's called one more round.
So
It's called the free drink.
So while
That too.
while you were fighting the Garm Wolf, what did you think of the Alchemist class? Do you remember much of it?
I do remember bits and pieces. I only saw bits and pieces of it during the combat forums, such as him using bombs and various items along those lines. But other than that, it was an okay kind of class. But I think it's more or less shines better as a outside combat support tool with all the differing items that you could craft. Mostly the bombs, but so far that's been the most greatest since I've seen use of it.
Yeah,
And
me
not to
and
mention with sips and creating the healing bombs, that really does boost it.
yeah, me and Creepah were saying the same thing, and probably the best way to make it more usable is if the alchemist gets an extra attack to throw more bombs or something along those lines, or being able to be a half caster.
I could see a half caster helping it out.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking of doing for Harvey.
Hard.
It's so hard to not get the two mixed up. Fucking
Ha ha!
boss, why did you name him Harvey?
I don't think I named him Harvey initially, I'll be honest. I think I named him something else, but you was like, okay, how about we do something in actual name? And Harvey came to the first thing out of my mind.
Blame it on you, 100%.
You always do.
So, we talked about that. We also talked about the whole heist situation with Bishop.
I like the heist, not gonna lie. The heist was fun. It was stressful. I was worried, but it was fun.
Yeah. The thing was, though, we didn't quite follow how the heist was supposed to go, and we kind of did some things off script, per se, which wasn't a part of how it was supposed to go, which we'll do better next time, but I'm glad that you at least had fun with it.
I like the creativity I could have used with some of my skills and so forth, like creating a distraction by throwing some ration bait out of the side. I love that. That was a smart play for me.
Yeah.
I did think I went a little over prepared by buying too many scrolls.
Yeah, that was the part that I feel like that we shouldn't have not done, was you buying scrolls.
Fair enough.
But yeah, you got Bishop, which so far, Creepah likes Bishop so far. What are your thoughts on Bishop?
Bishop is I like him, but I'm also a bit hesitant towards him because he's a natural anarchist, like you said, and depending on the situation we're in, he could turn on us if things don't go the way that he would prefer. But also, he is still a good, strong ally, and even weirdly enough, a weird moral compass to the team.
I don't think he's gonna turn on you guys. So far, your goals have been aligned. You're not all a big fan of the current way of how the government is being run in Primaria.
That's true.
I think you're overthinking the whole anarchist angle there.
He just wants to tear down the government. Like, he's loyal to a fault. Like, he was part of Kane's crew a long time ago. The only reason, well, I won't say the reason why that is why he split off until you guys talk to him about it, but there is a good reason why he and Kane split off. Which I don't think you guys discussed about it yet. But with that being said, continuing on, you guys arrived to the city of Treble, did some exploration, you insulted an instrument shop. But this is where you got your magic banjo singing sword.
Yep. I still love that sword. I still love that sword.
It's been useful.
Oh, it has been, especially when I roll nat ones on both my crossbows.
Yeah. But how much do you remember of the fountain?
I remembered you talking about that it's associated ties with certain blessings and the stories surrounding it, especially the person that is of the main focus of the fountain. And I was thinking, like, it's a fountain, but usually gives wishes, don't know. And I was like, Brutus, hearing about some of the stuff about this, especially with the Air Genasios around at the time, I thought he would, like, you know what, fuck it, might as well, give some respect. So I thought about throwing a platinum piece or something high grade in there and see what happens.
I think you threw a gold.
No, I throw a platinum.
Oh, well. Shut my mouth, dude.
Put the fuck down.
But yes,
it was a Sips that threw a gold.
Right, but you were the first one who threw in the coin, and that's why you got the blessing first.
Yep.
Yeah, Which I think it was just basically you had the bless condition for 24 hours or something like that.
No, you gave me a bardic inspiration that I could use anytime I wish through the whole campaign.
Right, and it was a one-time use.
Yep.
Which I don't think you've used it yet, have you?
I'm either thinking I have or I think I haven't.
You definitely have not.
Yeah, I don't think you've used it yet.
Hmm.
So you still have the blessing.
Fair enough.
Damn. Alright. So after your sightseeing was done, you guys reconvened, and you guys decided on the next step, which was apparently both A, finding Kalis, because you did get rumors about that in Aria Woods, but also dealing with the hags that are in Aria Woods as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a...
Well, we weren't going to deal with them. We were actually going to go see them because of, what was it?
Zilyana.
Zilyana wanted to get some information or at least lessons or whatever not from them.
The lesson thing came in later, because originally your guys' plan, I believe, was to kill the hags, because something about them creating the Curardel based off of your researches on the hunts that you were going on. And you were like, oh, well, the hags have something to do with the Curardel. We killed the hag, we killed the Curardel. The nearby towns are safe.
Yep.
And you thought Kalis was a part of that whole thing.
No, it was just me as a player, not... I was assuming way too much and just jumping through puzzle loops here and there. You know,
as always.
Stuff, hags and witches. You know, my brain muddled them together.
Boss, I swear to God, you are your worst. You're your worst enemy because you're constantly playing 4-dimensional chess with yourself in these situations.
Welcome to my inner thoughts in my brain, everybody. Over there is the quadrupedical upside down toilet. I do not know what I said.
What the fuck?
That was just something I blurred out of my head.
Quadrupedical upside down toilet.
All
I can imagine is that it's a toilet, but with the brain intellect legs.
Oh my God!
It's upside down.
Intellect devourer legs.
If this doesn't describe how Boss plays himself, I don't know what does.
Fucking Christ.
It's like that whole image of the meme of like one person stressing out a chest, the other person smugly. He's just been tidying the pieces or eating them. It's just both me.
No, it's literally that one Pixar animation of the two old men playing chess. You are both of them.
Wow, that's an oldie but a goodie.
If that doesn't perfectly surmise yours, if that doesn't perfectly surmise the fact that you are constantly second guessing yourself and overthinking everything, I don't know what does.
But anyways, you guys traveled through the forest. You got into some random encounters. One of them being with some giant leopards that had like these little stingray creatures that was on top of their heads. Yeah, mind-controlling stingrays that were on top of their heads, which you dealt pretty easily, not gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
But eventually you guys came across a new thing on the island. You came across a shadow elemental. Something that has never been seen before in all of Primaria history.
Yeah, that was quite the shock.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here. Yeah, continue, go on.
I remember we weren't sure if it was ally or enemy, so we all hid. And we were questioning ourselves, should we sneak attack her or not? Eventually it found one of us and we fought. I do want to ask, before everything turned around, how much health did it have left? Or did we even scratch it?
You did some damage on it, but I will tell you, I know how it went. It was like, I kept on asking, like, what are you guys doing? Are you guys gonna attack it? Or is like, what's the deal here? And essentially it came down to Zilyana giving the order to attack it first.
Mm. Oh, yeah.
That is how it went.
You guys did significant amount of damage to it. It was pretty close to death, which, it was pretty close to death. The only saving grace that it had was being able to create, like, bubbles of shadow, making it nearly impossible for, to be hit by you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, it was supposed to last, like, 3 to 4 rounds of combat before Kalis came in and save it. But you guys basically were about to kill it in 2 rounds. I'm like, no, I need to pull the trigger now.
Speaking of pulling the trigger.
Yeah. As Kalis came rushing in, putting up a wall of force to basically block it in so that way you guys don't hurt it, you finally meet up with Kalis after so long. Since the last time the official party met him was in Silvervein.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was before me.
Yeah?
And we held that motherfucker at gunpoint.
Yeah, you did.
I did.
It was the weirdest fucking thing you were trying to do, because it was like, you have 5 seconds to explain yourself. It's like, I need a lot more than 5 seconds to explain.
Yeah, I know, but well, I can't resist my urge to say stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
So it's one of those situations to where it's like, okay, start talking before I switch cheese your ass.
It also didn't help that when Brutus also joined up in all this, he didn't know much about Kalis, barely nothing. Other than that he was once an ally to the party and then betrayed them by stealing the grimoire thing. And the MacGuffin grimoire. And the next moment he was gone, leaving them kind of kerfuffled.
Yeah, the Book of Vile Darkness.
So that was the only thing that Brutus knew, and he could be a potential threat or something.
Yeah, which...
Not gonna lie, the party was kind of ambiguous about that.
I mean, that's fair. But this is where you kind of see the actual effects of the book taking place on Kalis, because you notice that, basically some black-purple was beginning to come out of his skin around the neck and arm area, and you see a little bit of purple growing from the inner point of his white hair and spreading out, and you see a little bit of black growing from the white parts of his eyes, just slowly inching its way towards the pupil area. You basically saw the process of the book working its magic on Kalis.
Yeah. Which honestly, that whole encounter was definitely one of the moments where it kind of helps put things into perspective for everybody. But yeah, man, it was there was a bit of tension there to begin with.
Yeah, and it got worse. It got a lot worse. Yep. Because you guys, so after you guys cleared the air, hey, how about I will explain everything. Let's just sit somewhere else, and we'll talk civilly. Which he does. You guys had a conversation of oh, how have you guys been? He's like, oh, you tell stories, and then he explains why he did what he did. Because originally, he was the Phantom that stole the book on the ship. He was planning on stealing it from the get-go. That was his entire plan, was to steal the Book of Vile Darkness. It got stolen from him after Markov stole the book back and used his skills of necromancy to basically raise an army of the undead. And after you guys retrieved the book from Markov, he stole it back because originally it was going to be he wanted that book in the first place. It was just, you know, it went from him stealing it to him getting it stolen from him to him stealing it from you guys back.
There's something to talk about. I'm stealing what was rightfully stolen from me.
Yeah, exactly. Look, you didn't mean to betray. It was just the fact that he wanted that book first, and you guys had the book. Honestly, if he wanted to betray any further, he probably would have attacked you guys then and there, instead of running off.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously.
I mean, yeah.
But I'm just gonna say, at that point, it would have been kill on sight.
Yeah, but after that whole discussion, you guys talked about, like, why did you need to steal the book in the first place, and he explained his plan. Essentially, he was going to use the book to acquire enough power for him to traverse the Grand Sealy to find the Primordials bounty. And then he was going to use the Primordials bounty to destroy the government of both the Leviathan Empire and the Phoenix Kingdom. So that way, both the kingdoms are out of the picture, leaving the people to decide so that way the people are no longer under the authority of both the king and queen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, after that is said and done, he was going to kill himself.
Yeah.
All because of that damn book.
It's either you die as a hero or live long enough to see yourself as a villain.
Yeah. We all know Markov lived long enough to see himself turn into the villain.
Yeah. Kalis knows that. Kalis knows it's only a matter of time before the book corrupts him to be like Markov. So he would rather do some good before he goes out to try and destroy the world with the book.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, it's definitely really good for showing character motivation and stuff like that. I mean, the best part is, it's not even really all that complicated. It's simple, straightforward, gets right to the point.
I do want to ask, what was Starzin's thought process after hearing that? Like, was he elated? Was he thrilled? Or was he, like, sad?
Well, here's the thing. Starzin's a bit of a mix. I've kind of made Starzin to be a bit of a mixed bag. Like, while, again, on the one hand, while he doesn't care for either the kingdom or the empire for all the destruction wrought up to this point in one form or fashion or another, he's also not exactly one that I would call is ultimately immediately on board with the idea, at least at that time, with, you know, kind of just going the route of kill the leaders and just bring the head of it down, so to speak. I think it's more of the idea that what's a good way to say it? Like, he feels like it's almost necessary, but he's like in denial that like that would be the best option.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I think I do. Basically, he's sort of on board with it, but he's hesitant because of the complications of such a thing like that.
Yeah. Well, it's more so the complications that just come with it, but also just the idea of, you know, kind of going the route of killing to solve a problem.
Like, I see.
Kind of like the whole thing of, like, you know, a tyrant killing a tyrant only to replace the tyrant. Like, that's kind of where he's like a bit of a mixed bag, because it's like he's on board with it, but he's not on board with the whole cycle of just killing for the sake of trying to end the war by removing the head of state's head, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it kind of led into a conversation similar to that when you all were talking about like how you saw the flaws in Kaelus's plan.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Which, makes sense. Honestly, I will say that was on purpose, that he didn't have it all quite figured out, but just the main plan was to remove the head states of power, so that way the people can be in charge and, decide a better system that won't lead into this cycle of violence that the mainline royals have caused over the 800 years that they've been around.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Which led to, an emotional scene where Sips was like, because she made a promise to the father that she will find Kaelus and bring him home. But due to the fact that she now knows that the book is eating his soul, and the fact that he plans on killing himself, basically brought up to the conclusion, like, well, he's just given up then. Which, it's fair, but honestly, in a position like that, he really doesn't have much of a choice. I mean, if there was a way for him to not be in that situation, he will take it full-heartedly, but until that point comes, he's gonna stick to the plan that he has.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, led to some more emotional talk of, like, why didn't you join with us? And is like, well, I didn't know what your guys' plan were, and I didn't want to harm you guys just in case if the book does take over me. It's like, because he does legitimately see you guys as friends.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this whole series of event really kind of set things into perspective. Not only just for us, but for also kind of how to go forward about some of the stuff, of potentially what will happen after campaign, but again, that's a while away.
Yeah, a very long while away.
Mm-hmm.
But it does help put things into perspective, especially considering, Kaelus did ultimately betray us, but he at least had solid reasoning behind it. And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, he kind of did the dick move, but he was ultimately kind of doing it for a selfless reason, rather than, just trying to become Markov 2.0.
I mean, yeah, but he also, like being a person with young experience and oversightedness, did make a very big fumbling mistake. Like, sure, he's gotten the power now, but it's a matter of a question whether if he can succeed in the goal and if the power will not eat him up before all this is done. I mean, heck, the worst case scenario he never even thought of, what I would see, is he lost his power when he just reached the Primordial's bounty. Imagine it. Something like ate up and all this dark power with the Primordial's bounty in its hands. That would be terrible. And that's something he never even thought of that could potentially happen.
Good.
Yeah, that's where the overconfident and cockiness comes in. Because that might happen, because here's the thing, I am rolling in the background for him whenever he does open up the book to see how much percentage of the darkness is taking over his body.
The darkness.
So it could be at the very end where he's like fully corrupted, or he could be halfway corrupted. It's just all a matter of the dice roll.
It's all a matter of luck.
But with that being said, this was your first interacting with Kaelus, so I do want to get your thoughts on it.
As Brutus or as myself?
Both.
Well, as for myself, I feel, well, I like the great morality of the kid. He has good intentions, and though it is somewhere in the area of vengeance and focusing on that sort of thing as the main focus, but it still goes some amount of good intentions in the end, wanting to stop a grand war, battle of bloodshed, of needless bloodshed. But the way how he tries to go about it, it definitely shows how he is, well, oversighting things, how he's young and he's inexperienced and overcocky. As Brutus, he feels... what would be the right word?
Sympathetic?
No, not sympathetic. Pity. He sees this kid with grand amount of goals and ideas and great ambition, but he makes stupid decision and a stupid mistake that could potentially end his life even before he succeeds. Rather than then, he just sees a kid who's risking everything where he could potentially not need to. In a hunt, in perspective of Brutus's area, as in a hunt, you need to lower your risks as possible. In some cases, you don't get that option. He admits that. But in other cases, you still try. And in this case, he sees this kid who's an overeager, overconfident hunter, like maybe he was in the past, and overextended. And now is going to pay the price for it unless something changes. Which is why he kind of vows to save him as much as he can. And he still wants to. He's still going to.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, I made Kalis to be a complicated,
flawed character, but a good flawed character.
I don't want to say antagonist, but I don't want to say, it's like, he could, like...
Anti-villain?
Well, maybe.
Anti-villain so far the best area. He does have the area in limelight of a grand ambitions of an anti-hero, if you want to say it like that.
Yeah.
Or a hero who's willing to go beyond certain morals to succeed. But anti-villain seems to be more where he is at in morality and what he's willing to sacrifice. A villain who has grand ambitions and great good morals, but is still doing the greater evil of things for that succession. Things like Lex Luthor or Doctor Doom. They do evil shit, but in the end alls, they do have good outcomes for their goals. Do you respect them? Do you like them for that? Probably not, but the actions speak louder than their words. Doom has been known to be a very evil and bad guy, but Latveria is still a very prosperous town, despite his iron-fisted rule. Advanced, medicine, no hunger, no poverty, no crime even. But it's still run by Dr. Doom.
Yeah. I wanted Kalis to be complicated, to be like, to question your guys' morality when it comes to dealing with Kalis. And so far, I feel like I'm hitting that goal pretty well.
Oh, for me, you have, definitely.
But it's only a matter of time to see how far he'll go when you guys make it to the Grand Sealy or the next time you see him again. So, after you guys had that sit down, you discussed each other's feelings, and Kalis was like, how about we make this a race to see who gets to the Primordials bounty first? Because he thought it would be fun.
I mean, he's not wrong. Would be kind of fun. And I feel like we're kind of lacking behind, not gonna lie.
Well, yeah, Well, here's the thing. Realistically, it's understandable to feel like that, because he's got the advantage of being a lone wolf in this, for the most part. Mm-hmm. Whereas, we have a crew and a lot of logistics to keep up with.
That is true. Not to mention, we also... I can't say that yet.
Can't say what?
I was going to talk about Emra. Not Emra. What was her name again? Damn it. It's been a while. The crew member that is... here she is. Jim.
Jim. Alright. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
I thought you would, yeah.
So essentially, you guys took a long rest in Kaelus's magnificent mansion. And after you guys take that long rest, you realize that Kaelus has already left, and you guys set off to hunt down the witches. Which, before that, I will say, there was a funny thing where you're, like, talking to Kaelus, like, wait, so you're not here for the witches and the Cyrodiil? It's like, no. Why would I? Because you're after magical artifacts. It's like, I already have the book. What else do I need?
Okay, yeah, that's where my conspiracy train was trying to push things
It
together.
was so funny.
My thought process was this. There's some dark magic happening. There was some dark magic happening back with the book. I pictured and thought, I'm gonna say this, I never told anybody this, not the DM, nobody, that potentially Kaelus was looking for more powerful dark artifacts, maybe pages of the supposed dark tome to empower it more. Who knows? I was grasping at straws, okay?
Boss, I want you to know right now, that was the plan to make you think that, to only realize that was not Kaelus's plan. You're the only one that took that bait, hook, line, and sinker.
I can't help it if my brain just thinks of the plot lines.
So basically, you just gaslit him for the sake of gaslighting him and just showing him how dumb it was.
The worst thing is, I never told anybody else in the party any of this so that they could help. I was just thinking, ooh, this is interesting.
I think you did, because I remember, Creepah, you said something along the lines like, at worst, it's him collecting more dark energy. At best, it's a coincidence that he's...
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, he honestly might have said something, but here's the thing. Like, this is just the thing that I usually assume when it comes to boss these days, both as a player and just in general, is that 9 times out of 10, he is gaslighting himself.
Well, here's the thing. There's a reason why I put Kaelus right next to the witches and the Cyrodiil, was because I wanted you guys to think that way, because I thought it would be funny. When you finally arrived to him and it just realized... Yeah, when you finally realize, like, oh shit, he was just here because he just wanted to be here. He had nothing to do with the witches.
Yep, and this is why I say no one's better at gaslighting boss than himself.
It's like the Tom and Jerry. It's like the Tom and Jerry meme of Tom sticking a shotgun into the mouse hole and it just pops back around his face.
That's literally you to a T.
Fucking
and the
your
goofy
head
grin on top.
Fucking your head transforming into a sucker.
No, it's the donkey.
the dumbass.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's basically just him that donkey with the hee-haw sound and then the words jackass written on his side.
Yes. Fuck. But anyways, you traveled through the forest a little bit further, and then you came across the witch's hut. Now, originally, I will say, because I remember this was like a big deal to Sips, apparently she thought the plan was to kill the hags, which, honestly, I think was the plan as well, but nobody referenced it a lot. It was like, so we're gonna kill the hags, and that was pretty much it. Nobody was like, okay, so the plan is to kill the hags, it was just like, when we get there, we'll see how it goes. Like, there was no concrete plan of what you guys were planning on doing.
Yeah, that's true. I think we never really gave the deeper talk if we were going after the hags to kill them or seeking research or aid for Zilyana's sake, or we never really did think that through, did we?
Yeah, no. Like, Clyde was the only one. Like, Clyde was the only one which I feel like he gaslit himself into thinking, like, what are we doing? The plan was to kill them. It's like, nobody came up with that plan. You're the only one who thought that plan.
No, I think it was like Sips. I think it was the part of his brain that was Sips doing that. Because remember, in his own personal mindset of Sips, he thought of like good and evil being very differing things.
Yeah, that's fair. But you guys
And when
talked
he,
to the hags, and you met with the three hag sisters, starting off with Morgana the Maleficent, Gretchen the Gluttonous, Bernadette the Bone Crusher.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's right.
mm-hmm.
That sounds right.
Three green hag sisters that live in a hut together who lost their hag's eye. Because of a druid that broke in and stole it and left.
Yeah, and that's when, and once we encountered them, that's when things went from simple and straightforward to really fucky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because this was another session where On wasn't there, and I asked him ahead of time to be like, "Hey, this is what's gonna happen. I need to know what is Zilyana's thing that she's going to do." And what On texted me was essentially he will hear the hags out, and try to see if they can coax her into teaching her a hex, essentially. Essentially planning on, make a deal with, hear them out, make a deal with them, but if there is no reasoning to it, attack them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Unfortunately, she was the only one that was really going for this plan, and then we didn't really know, which kind of threw this whole thing into a massive loop. Because we were trying to figure out what it is they were wanting, and this and that, and well, because Zilyana was a witch herself, she was really interested in trying to get what we wanted. But again, because she wasn't here, they weren't here for this. This is where things got much more messy, because while we tried to play to the strength of just trying to play along with it, Clyde had to be in character and walk out getting pissed off that we're working with evil, inherently individuals. And then I tried to sweet talk the deal so that we could work this out better, and then Jem walks out. And at this point, I start to panic, because I get that, because at this point, I kind of have the understanding of what the plan is. But this is where I get torn into two different positions because of the fact that I'm the first mate. Mm-hmm. On the one hand, I have to be concerned for crew grievances for what we're doing. After all, I am essentially more or less the ship's therapist in this regard.
The ship's manager, literally.
Exactly. But on the other hand, I kind of had a grasp into what Zilyana was wanting to do, and knew that in the end, we're probably going to try to betray them anyway, and double-cross them out of it once we get what we want. Because at this point, especially at that point, I've known On long enough to know that, more often than not, he's going to try to screw over the evil people so he can get what he wants, because either for one of two reasons. Either there can be only one, or I'm just not that evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. And it was also because, Zilyana was playing a witch, and the hags are there, and they were able to, communicate with each other, have a decent conversation with each other that led to this deal of trying to find the culprit that stole the hag's eye.
Yeah, and again, this is where things started to get really fucky because, like I said, we had two party members who were actively agitated, and being the ship's manager, that sets off alarm bells in my head of, okay, what do I have to do? What do I do now? Because I clearly cannot please everybody in this circumstance, but I also actually have to try to make them see what's trying to go on. And because I was panicking hardcore, I was like, I need on, because he's the captain and he's the one making the shots with this.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, Brutus also in this state was not in the hierarchy, I guess, within the crew or so forth to actually say anything other than words of advice or wisdom. But at this point, he's way out of his depth, I think, and he really can't say anything for the whole crew because this is his first island, other than his second. Would this count be his first or second island with the group?
It would technically be a second because Aria because Windy Hill would be the first.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But this would be your first outing with being officially part of the crew.
That is true. And I think if I remember correctly, Brutus's plan here was to, since I think he kind of picked up that you were being agitated and worrying about the benefits, he was going to go talk to them or keep them there, at least hear them out, what's going on, so forth, at least get them that there's a voice hearing them while you try to figure this out. So that they're not just wandering off and leaving.
Yeah, like I said, this was just the unfortunate circumstance of, ultimately, here's the thing. I more or less knew what he was going for, but it's I kind of need him here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, luckily he did came. Remember?
Yeah, he did, but he was not intended to show up as the thing.
That is true.
He had to literally get on his phone to help get this cleared up.
Yeah, because it was oh man, it was so.
Because this was a massive shit show.
I tried my best. I followed On's instructions to the T. It was just everybody else that was and reasonably so. I will say reasonably why everybody else was all some of you guys were up in arms about the thing. It was just I understand the assignment, and honestly, On's plan was pretty fucking clever. Because here's the thing: if we stuck with what Sips was going to do, everybody probably would have been
hard.
Everybody would have died.
Yeah, because that would have really been an uphill battle.
Because you're dealing with
other reasons.
Because you're dealing with 3 hags, and 3 hags make a coven. And if there's a coven, they get extra spells, such as Lightning Bolt.
Not to mention, they also have the tree.
The tree probably would have showed up in about a couple of rounds. But yeah, the tree would have been a problem.
Well, yeah, because here's the thing. We would have had a 2-round grace period, which ultimately, going up against all 3 of them, would have been very difficult to do.
Mm-hmm.
We would not have been able to make use of it, and that was kind of the problem. So ultimately, while Sips's plan was the most straightforward, it was also the more dangerous of the plans, because if we went in, we would have had to deal with all 3 of them. We would have had a 2-round grace period before shit really hits the fan, and we deal with the Cura Urdel, and at that point, we would have had to make a choice either to keep fighting and probably die.
Which odds are you probably would have booked it, honestly.
Yeah. And then we would have had to come up with a new plan on how to deal with it.
Yeah, because at that point, the hags would not trust you to do whatever the fuck they wanted to do. It was designed to be something of a puzzle in the way of dealing with that encounter. Like a social puzzle encounter. You could attack it, but that could lead you guys to dying. But if you play your cards right, you could make this a lot easier, which led to the next bit. where you did take the deal of finding the druid that stole that stole the hag's eye, and you met up with him. It was a wood elf by the name of Thalril, who basically was like, I've been trying to get rid of these hags. They have been a problem in these forests for quite some time. I'm not strong enough, so I stole their hag's eye to basically prevent them from using it, because this is part of their power. Which On wanted, because, again, he was not there that session. On wanted to try and convince him to give the hag's eye to them, so that way they can complete the deal. Which the deal was train On in the way of getting the green hag hex, the green witch's hex, which allows him to talk with plants and animals, and also shutting down the Curaordel.
Yeah, because originally the way the deal was is we get the hag's eye back.
Oh, and kill the druid.
Well, yeah. Well, obviously the whole thing was On gets his hex, and they get rid of the Curaordel. They get rid of the Curaordel as part of the deal. So basically which was basically how they thought it was going to go.
Which led to you guys dividing a plan of action. Essentially, when basically one of the witches would have to go out and deactivate the Curaordel, that's where Group B, which would be Thalrin and one of the crew members, ambush that hag, while the rest of you guys attack the 3 hags that are in the hut.
Yeah. It essentially turned into a massive divide and conquer style of incursion.
Which I will say, for 2 green hags, that was still a dicey encounter.
I mean, yeah, that was rough, especially considering Sips actually fucking almost died.
Yeah, and got a lingering injury from that as well.
Yeah.
It was lightning. It was the lingering injury that started down the road of her getting that black spot in the current place that we're at right now.
Yep.
But you fought tooth and nail. You killed the hags, which was easy because all you had to do was kill one of them in order to break the coven. So they weren't as strong as they were before. You killed the hags, and as a reward for helping Thalril, he gifted you with the Staff of the Woodlands. Which I realize none of you guys could use it because none of you guys are druids.
But we did have a druid on the ship, and it would make a fine addition to her collection.
Which I still haven't added to her character sheet.
You fuck!
Would have been probably useful when you guys fought some of those monsters. Oh, fuck.
Lemmings. I played this game with lemmings. I swear to God.
I'm sorry.
Hey, look in the mirror. What's that? A lemming.
But,
but I'm the lemming who's actually running the show.
But I will. So not only did you get that, but you also got probably the most busted item in all of D&D: the marvelous pigments.
Yes, the marvelous pigments.
Yeah, but we also changed that over to the newer variant, didn't we?
We have not.
We did not. We sucked to the full potential of what it could do.
Fucking a shit ton of gold. Or a shit ton of platinum.
Which I'm already abusing.
Which is good, because the more fucking paint you use, the better. Because goddamn.
Listen.
Be a happy fucking man when that's all gone.
I mean, yeah, you will be. But I'm also gonna say this much. I'm also going to be happy because I have a project funded, all ready to go.
Yeah.
I basically just those pigments were essentially the equivalent of a research grant mixed with a bottomless defense budget.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to be making something glorious.
I will say though, for future DMs that want to apply the marvelous pigments into your game, I would recommend doing the newer version of it because it's much more reasonable than what the pigments in the 5th edition was. Because, dear God, you could print off so many fucking platinum pieces that would literally break the economy for fucking eons.
Yeah, we actually did the math for it, and literally after days of crunching the numbers, we determined that we would have a literal treasure trove that would make like so many D&D individuals with actual treasure loots jealous.
So, 377,280 platinum pieces can be made with the marvelous pigments.
Which, for those of you wondering what that means in gold, you're easily looking at several million.
Like, add 2 zeros at the end of it or something like that?
Add a 0. Add a 0 if you're transferring platinum to gold.
Yeah.
So yeah. It would turn into like 3 million.
3,772,800 gold pieces.
Damn near 4 million.
Like, I'm pretty sure you can buy several ships with this.
Are you kidding me?
We
could literally buy a timeshare and not have to care about anything for the rest of our lives.
Exactly. Like, the old pigments pretty fucking busted if you are going to make a shit ton of money. New ones are a lot more reasonable, to where it's like, you can make a certain amount of money, but it will cost 1 pot.
Right. Like, honestly, the good thing is that I was the one who just made the executive decision to say, okay, I can use this to fund a project, and that gets rid of a good chunk of its money capabilities.
Yes, absolutely.
Is it gonna make me a fucking problem? Maybe. But you know what? Sometimes you can't, but it's like the old saying goes. You can't make an omelet without cracking a few eggs.
Oh, you know what? There is one thing I forgot. So there was a heart-to-heart moment between you, Sips, and Bishop, and Brutus with Jim.
Yeah. It's like after all the talk and everything, that's when Jim was considering of leaving because she didn't feel comfortable with this grand scale of thing.
So when I started this campaign, I had the decision of like, some people are going to be down with what this crew does, and some of them would not be okay with what the crew does. And unfortunately, Jim was one of those people that would be like, if you are pirates and you're against the government and against the Leviathan Empire, I'm sorry, I like you guys, but I can't be with you guys. Because my entire thing is helping innocent people, because I am part of the clergy. If they see me as a pirate, I can't do my job because they'll think of me as the enemy. So, unfortunately, that she could not join. And honestly, here's the thing, Shock Reyes was also going to be a part of that boat as well.
What?
Yeah, I think I remember you talking about this. Like, he was originally meant to be on that boat. Sorry, fam, but I'm part of an order, so I have to dip. Until it was like we got fucking
you got
Varakis.
Yeah,
until we got the Raucous.
When you saw the brand of the slave on Raucus's back, and Shock Reyes saw that, he realized that something is wrong with the government that allows something like this to happen. And he began to think, like, maybe something needs to be changed, because this is not okay.
Maybe there are some things that should change.
Yes, exactly. Where, obviously, Jem feels the same way, but she would rather do it in the system than outside of it. You know, change it from within side.
Right, and honestly, there isn't anything wrong with that. Like, if anything, in my opinion, and this is just a personal opinion, like, this is just coming from the player, not so much the character. I think it shows extraordinary bravery for a character to see everything wrong with the system, but to see that things that it could possibly be changed from the inside and made better in a way that, like, it's not as much of as collateral damage and loss. And here's the thing. I think a lot of stuff like that from a character perspective is very hard to do. And a lot of that is just because it depends on, you know, are you trying to write it as this is a character who is eventually going to see that, like, no, this system really is that fucked up, or are they the catalyst that can actually change it from the inside, kind of thing. It's a very difficult thing to do, and it really has to make you wonder, like, what are you trying to write the system at?
Yeah, and that was kind of the goal with that. Everybody else was pretty much fine. Like, I think the only couple of characters that would not be okay with you guys joining the Leviathan Empire would probably be... I would need to look at the...
Thing.
Yeah, I would need to look at all the images of the characters that we have, because we have so fucking many.
What does our roster say?
Well, would it be Metro, or would it be...
Metra's okay. Because, yeah, she doesn't have a problem with the government. She doesn't care about the government, she just doesn't have a problem with it. I would think that... Well, obviously Gale would not be a part of it, due to the obvious looks at his daughter.
Yeah, that's like the most blatantly obvious one.
Yeah. Gale wouldn't be a part of it. I highly doubt Varrocus would be a part of it as well, due to the fact that he is an Earth Lacer, and, you know, that's just not allowed. And I think maybe Iris as well. Like, those three people would probably not be a part of the crew.
Yeah, Iris actually I could really see definitely just noping out because because of the cons she's done for swindling people, but B, because from the little bit of from a lot of the character interactions that she's had with Starzin, it's kind of become clear to me that, like, she kind of resents the Empire and kind of just doesn't like them, because she's kind of under that same discrimination of, ooh, you're from the Underdark, you're a thing of earth and of earth and fire, so you have to be exterminated, kind of thing. Which as she said, she technically gets by on a technicality because she can fly.
Yeah. That's, like, the only reason why is, like, she's fine, is because she is more... Despite being underground, she does have some air there's some air affinity to her, with the fact that she can fly.
Yeah, so it's with that reason, it's like, I can definitely see why she would be out of it, because, well, she technically avoids a lot of discrimination on a technicality. And, you know, that's one of those things where it's like, you know what? Fair enough.
Yeah, but Also, on top of that, there was a conversation between you and Bishop about being first mate. About how to be a good first mate as well.
Yeah, that's right. I remember. Yeah, that's right. It's coming back to me. Because, like, the more that, like, Starzin, like, sees people, like, get agitated, and the more he was seeing people get agitated and frustrated with how things were going, it started to make him call into question his capabilities. Because, now, on the one hand, I wasn't originally going to make him play like this, but I feel like I kind of had to, especially with the whole, pretty much how the whole Silvervein arc went, with me having to essentially play into an insecurity of he's never really led before, and considering his lack of judgment caused a lot of problems there at the end, you know, I kind of decided that this is going to have to be a trait that he has, that the reason he stuck to first mate and is questioning himself a lot is because he really doesn't understand the finer points of leadership, and when he sees that people are not okay with a lot of the choices made, it makes him second guess himself.
Yeah. I will say though, Bishop is not okay with Sips though.
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah, fair.
Like, because he was a part of a crew before, and basically, when it comes down to it, the captain has the best interest for the crew. So if the crew can't trust what the captain is doing, what's the point of you being a part of the ship?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the crew.
And that's kind of where, like, Bishop was, like, giving you the knowledge of, like, hey, sometimes your captain's gonna make calls that are gonna make people uncomfortable. But you gotta keep in mind, this is for the captain's... the captain is keeping in mind of the crew's best interest.
Usually.
Yeah. And when Sips was like... You know... when Sips walked out in the cabin... walked out of the hag's cabin and went on like, we should have killed him. We should have killed those hags. Like, nah, Bishop's not like Bishop kind of lost a little bit of respect from Sips.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I understand it, and it's definitely one of those things where it's like, it's kind of the quirks of just how Clyde plays Sips. But it's also one of those things where it's like, you're really making this tricky for me, aren't you? Why must you make my life hell?
Why must you make things more difficult?
Why must you just must?
Why must?
Because, and the funny thing is that I find this typically a recurring theme with him. Because a lot of the times when I'm trying to, like, get something going, especially back in the Silvervein arc, it was either him or it was Liz. And it's just like, why? Why are both of you like this? I have a plan. I have this the way I want it to go. We're doing good. Why do you gotta throw a wrench in it and make me question everything?
like when you're trying to get Ferocus.
Exactly. It's like that was the single one encounter where I was like, I'm gonna fucking strangle the both of you. because I was confident, I was cocksure that, like, okay, I can work with this, I can get him out, I just gotta pull shit out of my ass.
And then they open their mouth.
And it's like, fuck. Now, and I'm thinking on my toes, trying to come up with something, anything to salvage it, knowing that it's fucked. And I'm just like, like, I'm just screaming, God damn it.
God fucking damn it! Why?
I was
You're like that.
just
You're like
screaming
that.
that at the top of my lungs internally, like, God fucking damn it.
You're like that meme of that one guy's like, "Come on, you motherfucker," and then breaks something. Goes, same shit, every day.
Eventually, it's gonna get to that one point where that one clip from Powerpuff Girls where they give Mojo Jojo the kid's like, nope, I'm done. Nope, I quit. I'm done. I'm done.
Nope, I quit. I'm done.
I just might get to that point eventually.
Like, I've tried so many times. I'm done. I quit. Fuck this.
Although I'm probably gonna do that with a mix of Aaron Hansen and just go, I'm fucking done. Sometimes you gotta wake up and don't mind the fucking sand and say, what am I going to put up with today? Fucking this.
God, you peaked your mic so bad that the suppression was holding barely tight to that.
Hold the line.
Hold the line.
He's speaking so loud. Hold the line.
I'm actually thinking one of these days I might just, like, roleplay, like, he sees something that just makes him done, he walks into the workshop and closes the door, and someone just goes, Starzin, I love you! And he just walks out going, no, I'm done, I'm fucking done, I'm fucking done, I can't do it.
Okay, well, Creepah's going on a tirade. Yeah, well, Creepah's going on a tirade. So yes, you kill the hags, you stop the Cyrodiil, you save the woods from its influence, you got paid for turning in parts of the Cyrodiil to the hunting guild. You got the marvelous pigments, you got the staff of the woodlands. You stuck around for a little bit. You found a treasure chest. I forgot what was in it. I think it was just
gold and treasure.
I was pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just some gold. Eventually, you guys just stuck around for a few days, and then you sailed off to the next island. But before that, there was something that I did forget to mention. Before you guys left to go fight the hags, Kalis did give you a map to a underwater temple.
Oh yeah, he did.
Yep, he did.
And that's kind of where you guys went off to next, which I think that might be its own recap, the events that took place there.
We did take a long time in there.
Yeah, it was like 4 episodes.
I think with the amount of stuff we did, I think it'd be better just to leave it as its own recap episode in the future.
Yeah, especially considering all the stuff that we're doing now in Everglow is like it would be a very long recap episode if we tacked that in as well.
That would turn into a 3-parter.
Well, I would say that would turn into a 2-parter. Like,
Really?
it would be.
I'm starting to think it might be a 3-parter.
No, it would be a 2-parter because all of Silvermane was a 2-parter.
You know what? Fair enough.
Yeah. It would probably be either the entire quest line of the underwater temple with the 2 hunts that you went on in the Everglow, and then the rest of the recap would be what is going to happen in Everglow, because I don't want to spoil what's going to happen.
Yeah, we'll get to that when the time comes.
Yeah, but other than that, this does bring up the question to you two. What did you guys think of Aria Woods?
I liked it. There was some Aria Woods was definitely something I liked, particularly not only because it was the technical first exploration island being part of the crew for the first time, actually, and not just a tag-along like in the Giants island. I don't even remember what that one island was called, sorry.
Windy Hill.
Thank you, Windy Hill. But it was also one where it threw some questions of like characters' moralities. What's the crew's morality? Like, what direction are we going for? Piracy, mercenary work, a neutral sense, heroics, law-abiding, or even just a random mukbang of all of them. Which I feel like a group is kind of like a random mukbang of all of them, more or less. But
Yeah.
it also threw my character, Brutus, in those questions as well. Because when I make characters, I think of a concept or some sort of idea first, then I build up from there during the campaign, building more ideas of what their morality, their antics, their quirks, what they view as right and wrong, what they feel as absolutes, and so forth. Things like that. I remember when I started making Brutus, I was thinking of throwing off with the recommendations that some of the members had, like Clyde did, about being a ranger, since it seemed like something the party needed. So I went and built a ranger, and I was trying to think of what things I could have, and you suggested some of these ideas, and I saw the crocodile, my brain went, gator hunter.
Yeah,
Just this Australian gator man.
Yeah, because we were bringing in several ideas for you. Like, I know Clyde was like telling you like, oh, the fighter champion, and I was bringing like, oh, maybe a sword bard.
Yeah, that was also one of those ones. And I think I just landed on with it because after I saw the gator race that you had in your lists of everything, it just like, I've always wanted to try this. I initially had an idea of it being the very short gator with just 2 knives being this gremlin of a hunter initially.
The kobold gator.
Yeah. But then I just thought better of just like, why not this like Australian kind of outback gator, kind of like a Crocodile Dundee, literally.
Which, I don't know, did we change your subclass in Aria Woods or Windy Hill?
We changed it in Windy Hill, I think. Like, I think it was either in between the points of Windy Hill and Aria Woods, like right at the end of Windy Hill.
Originally, you were like a monster hunter.
Yeah.
Like you were like supernatural hunter, where we thought that kind of didn't make any sense, and it was like if the best one was like probably hunter for you.
Just basic hunter with me just picking out which ones I would prefer.
And I fucking remember you were like, yeah, but I don't want to be copying off of Task from Unexpectables. Like, you two are way different.
My insecurity really got me there, not gonna lie.
Like, Task was a cobalt soldier that lost his family because of a blue dragon. And he was built to be a soldier, not an hunting last. You are full-on outback gator hunter. There is a difference.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
One is a bred soldier, the other is literally just scaly Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, pretty much.
Could not be more different if you tried.
Do you both like to hunt big creatures and strip them of their parts to make weapons out of them? Yes. But your backstory and how you go about using your characters, because here's the thing. Task is literally a ball of anger. You're just a dumb idiot.
Look. I'm not dumb. I'm selectively smart.
I'm selectively sophisticated.
I'm selectively sophisticated.
You're just willfully ignorant.
What?
You know what? You're fucking... If Task and Borky became one person, that would be Brutus. Oh, that's perfect. You're big, green, and scaly. But anyways, yeah, well, I'm glad that you liked it. Like I said at the beginning of this, I was not planning for any of the big things to happen in Aria Woods. Like, it was just gonna be like a hunt mission, free Bishop from the militia, and meet up with Kalis. That was it. I wasn't planning on adding the witches until I looked over and just like, you know what would be fun? If I did this.
Sometimes it's the most off-the-cuff stuff that just becomes the most fun and creative.
Yeah.
80% of 80% of running a D&D game is improv.
Yeah, I mean, and you gotta roll with it. You really do.
Yeah. But what are your thoughts on Aria Woods? Considering that you've been here the longest and you've been through Silvervein and Windy Hill.
Aria Woods was definitely one of those arcs that like definitely brought things into perspective and kind of in a way I would say start laying the foundation of kind of what we are and what we're doing, because this actually goes back to stuff that you said this was around the point in time where we really weren't sure of what we were doing. We just kind of had an idea of what we were doing, and that was really it. We were kind of just mulling around the idea of, okay, well, what is our technical moral alignment in all of this? And this was definitely the foundational turning point of where we decided to go from here. And it was a necessary one. Now, outside of the major story beats, I honestly liked everything there was about Aria Woods. I mean, it had its own with it being a bard's island, it had its own unique taste, a unique style that, like, I frankly wasn't even expecting, and actually loved. There was so much detail into it, and seeing how it was meant to cater to bards and to like even particularly highbrow society. It's something that was like honestly a breath of fresh air so far, because Silvervein was kind of bog standard. Windy Hill was just giants. And then we get to Aria Woods and then we see, oh, so this is like not like at all like those two. It was very much a breath of fresh air compared to the other two, just like Everglow was a breath of fresh air in its own right. But we'll get to that in time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But but yeah, like everything about Aria Woods outside of the story beats was unique. It was fun. Inside the story beats, it was the pivotal turning point that kind of set everything up for how it's more or less going to go going forward. We got our alignment set. Yeah, more or less. We more or less got our alignments set, and we ultimately got to understand Kaelus's decision making, and also this kind of also gave us a reason to actually go for the Primordials bounty, because for a while up until that point, I was wondering what's our motivation to go for it other than just the promise of unimaginable treasure, because I honestly didn't build a character that was kind of just in it for that promise. I built a character who was just trying to get away from everything. Like, there needed to be something more to hook me. And with this, that gave me a hook. That gave me a reason to say, okay, fuck it, we ball. We're going for the bounty.
That was the incentive that you needed.
Yeah, because I like don't get me wrong, I think that a lot of times, giving something like the Primordials bounty, and just giving that little spoonful, that little taste of unimaginable treasure and power is decent and simple enough for a lot of people, but I personally just want more of an incentive. And honestly, with Aria Woods, you gave me that. So props.
I also, yeah, as like you mentioned that it's like a bard's island, that also brings up something that Joe pointed all out, and I had to remember a lot of this other thing because it's been a while since I've done anything with band, music, or anything along those lines, but all the known locations that were on the map were actually references to various known notes or beats or various iconography or symbols from music sheets and so forth. I did like that little detail. That was very nice.
It was a nice touch. And as a band nerd, and as a former band nerd, I cannot help but appreciate it.
And it's too bad I lost my notes on telling me which villages were what. Can't remember exactly how I went around doing that, which is unfortunate. But oh well.
Unfortunate.
That happens.
It happens.
Yeah, that's my thoughts.
So, I know I can't really do this for Boss because he's only been a part of 2 islands so far, but since you've been to 3, what are your rankings on islands?
Oh wait, you mean him or me?
Him. I mean, you can do it if you want to, but there's only 2 islands that you've
I'm
already been a part of.
Well, technically, if we're counting the one we're on currently in the main timeline, I'm technically part of 3, but...
We're not counting Everglow until it's done.
Okay, fair enough.
You know what, boss? I want to hear your opinion. Go ahead. Give it a shotgun opinion.
Okay, I'll count Everglow for this, so that at least we have 3. But if we're going it by, like, my perspective, I liked Windy Hill because it was my first starting area, and I love the little plot threads you had with the giants and the 7 warlords with it. I love that little detail. Not to mention, we had a very unexpected outcome when we come to like some sort of agreement or negotiation, despite all the bloodshed. I did like that. We got some cool hunts out of it too. I'm gonna have to put my favorite with the second island because we now have a plot thread going on what we can do in later goals. I love the little music details into it as well. This connection now that Brutus has to going as well, like with yours. Brutus now has another reason to go there, including with his main goal to hunt the behemoth, and now with this, he has 2 goals of why he has to go there. And this is double incentive, and I love it. Along with it, I love the little player nods, details, and hearts so far. And not to mention, from that, we also got that little trip into that little treasure cave underwater. That was nice. Right now, currently my least favorite, and I can't really say for certain right now, is because it's Everglow. Because, one... Brutus became in commission in Everglow right now, and I'm like sad. I don't get to play great Gator Boy, but then I also have Tide.
Running in to melee Ranger with the crossbows.
I tried not to.
Commission.
Look, I tried not to, but how about you quit knocking all your NPCs down to 1 down first? How about you stop critting our NPCs?
Oh, I'm sorry if they were frontliners.
What was it?
Gaines was.
Gaines was a frontliner. He is a fighter.
I said one of them wasn't. I knew Gaines was. But other than that, yeah. But we also got Tide, and oh boy, Tide's just gonna be a...
I mean, so far, the whole plot thread with Tide and Starzin has been very interesting.
Oh, it has been.
Are you kidding me? This is honestly the most entertaining thing I've experienced in the campaign thus far.
So, okay, starting off with what's number 3? Everglow?
Currently, right now, it's Everglow. Not only because we haven't finished it yet, but also because I do like Everglow. But damn, did he give us a bit of wake up call about like, oh, ow, you hurt.
You gotta be more strategic, man.
I try to be.
So what's second?
Windy Hill. Right. I like Windy Hill, I really did, and it's also my starting island, so I have to put it up higher. And the top one is obviously... God, its name escapes me.
Aria Woods.
There, thank you. Thank you, Aria Woods. I was thinking something else, but thank you.
Alright.
Aria Woods is definitely currently my favorite right now. Not only because we have like party crew turmoil right now, but we also have like this is the official first island as Brutus being part of the crew.
Yep. Alright, Creepah. How do you want to vote? How do you want to rank your islands?
So this is going to be my ranking. I'm going to say number 3 is definitely going to probably be Aria Woods.
Oh, damn.
Now, hear me out. I'm not saying any of these islands were bad.
No, yeah, fair enough. I never said any of the woods were bad or any of the islands were bad.
But here's
They were just...
but here's why Aria Woods is ranked number 3 for me. Because while there was a lot of interesting stuff in character development, a lot of the more personalized character stuff did not happen on Aria Woods. Like, the most that really happened for Starzin heart-to-heart wise was really just him questioning himself after the fiasco with the witches and having the talk with Bishop. Now, in terms of everything else, everything was top notch. But I gotta rank but because of that, I would rank it number 3. Number 2 would definitely be the Silvervein arc. And not really because it was the start, but because there was a lot of stuff there for us. There was a lot of inter-character connections that were made there that was genuinely special. Like, kind of how a lot of us kind of started getting more close-knit and started trusting each other, saving Veracus and kind of hating the situation that he's in because of how it went, as a good example, but also loving how, how there was a lot of more personal talks, like getting to know Gale a bit more and seeing the true nature of Sage or M. But there was also, like, the small hint of sweet stuff, like, kind of, like where Sip's got to finally tap Shock Reyes' ass. And I got to be sweet on Iris, so, there's that. But I think above all else, Windy Hill definitely would have to be the number 1 mostly because I got to experiment with my character's backstory. I got to really lay in and start to really consider the backstory and really try to experiment how to roleplay a character that's struggling with massive PTSD and survivor's guilt. And because of all the special connections, including the ones that, like, really kind of solidified people that, like, Starzin can actually trust with that information, like Brutus and Jade, for example, it's really one of those islands where I say it takes the cake just for giving me the option to have some of the most meaningful character connections that I've been able to make thus far. Of course, Everglow is probably going to top it once we complete it, but that's just because of how things are going so far.
Mm-hmm.
That, and in Windy Hill, I can say I did the dumbest thing, which was solo an entire Giants camp.
Oh yeah!
Twice.
So, alright, so 3 Aria Woods, 2 Silvervein, 1 Windy Hill.
Yep.
Honestly, if I were to rank it, it's going to be a lot harder for me to rank this, but I would say I think Aria Woods would be number 3 for me, because I feel like I could have done more with it in the way of showing how aristocratic the island is, along with providing more Fae-like touches to it, including how musically inclined this island is. I feel like I didn't do enough to show that all that much. And I feel like I could have done a better job with it. So that's why I think it's number 3 for me. Number 2 would have to be Windy Hill. Because Windy Hill for me is like a good out the gate, like after you're done with the tutorial island, this is like your first quest kind of thing.
Like short, the first level after the tutorial.
Yeah, it was short, sweet, and simple. Letting into it leads to a satisfying conclusion, along with, you know, the other things that are on top of that. Like, although I will say, like Aria Woods, I feel like I could have implemented more of the giant stuff in it a little bit more than what I already have. Maybe have it to where, like, you see more giants walking around the town. Maybe some of them are running shops and stuff like that. Like, add more giant elements to it to where it was basically secondhand. And I'm thinking that's like the main problem that I had for those 2 islands. Number 1 would be Silvervein, because I feel like Silvervein was the most structured island that I created.
I could see why. At least from your perspective, I could see why.
Yeah. Like, it had a beginning, middle, end. It was very well connected with how you interact with the NPCs, what the main villain is, and its conclusion. It also kickstarted the whole quest thing. It was, not to mention, most of it was kind of inspired by TFS at the table, a little bit. Obviously, it's not 1-for-1, but there were some aspects of it that were from there that was like a homage to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, Silvervein has been my favorite. But if I were to add Everglow into the mix, I would definitely say Everglow would be taking the number 1 spot.
Everglow is looking to rise up in the ranks depending on how things will go.
Yeah, because
like I said, this is turning into an entertainment gold mine.
Yeah. It was mostly because, well, the Everglow is also an island that I had that has more structure to it compared to the other 2 islands that compared to Aria Woods and Windy Hill. But yeah, that's about it.
All right.
Well,
all right.
Well, with that being said, I guess this is where we'll end the recap. So, thank you guys for watching the latest episode of the Primordials recap. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please do subscribe, leave a comment or a like, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Tune into our next session so you can see some more goodies.
Yeah, bye.